is harder to communicate
Mhm.
at home than, and I know this is the odd thing. I know people who are absolute phenomenal communicators in the pulpit who are really poor communicators in person. And so that's a skill to work on,
Wow.
just making sure that we don't just give it all in the youth room or the pulpit or the sanctuary or the tabernacle and then have nothing
Right.
to give when we get home. As men, most of us, many of us may understand that men usually use fewer words than women per day. And so what could happen is we communicate so much to others that by the time we get home, we're just wiped out verbally, and we
Yeah.
don't want to say anything or listen, and that causes problems.
Yeah. I've heard that before. That, I mean, I forgot what the actual ratio is, but it's like thousands of words difference
It's unreal.
between
Now,
what a woman uses and what a man
yes,
uses.
the lovely tells me, she says, now in our house, those are switched. But I tell her, but my job is communication. I communicate for a living. So I'm not talking too much. I'm working out. Like this
Right.
is exercise. I'm strengthening these muscles, which I'll use for the
Ah,
glory of God one day. So
yeah.
she's not buying it.
No, no, I can understand that. Um, but it is, I think
Mhm.
I have a job where I communicate a lot. Um, Managing people, is practically always constant communication, whether it's directional or just encouragement or recognition or, you know, di- uh,
Sure.
correctional. You're always constantly using the words. And I know for me, what I have found is when, there are those times where I get home and it's like, okay, so, my wife and I, we have 5 children. One of the youngest one's about to turn one into April, but
Awesome.
the other four are very much so vocal and there and excited, and they want that energy, like, bringing that same energy
Yes.
that you had at work, as far as like, being upbeat in there. And you're like, I don't know that I have that to give. What
Right,
have you
right.
found to kind of help you go from work to family and be able to, pour into your family in such a way as to let them know that they matter and they are important in the moment?
Exactly. I have found, first off, when I was in Mount Vernon, I had an 8-minute commute. Now, if I rode my bicycle, it was 12, but if I drove my car, it was 8. It wasn't near enough time to decompress. So I got home, and if I was in my car, I have
Yeah.
this. So once again, I mean, my word count is astronomically high for a man. So I would get on the phone and talk to friends. Well, it's 8 minutes. We hardly even get past, man, how you been? Good. How you been? Good. Good. And I'm pulling in my driveway. So I'd walk in with the phone glued to my ear, and Andrea would just
Yeah.
look at me like, really? You're gone for 8 hours and you show up and you're not even with us when you are here? And I had to learn that when I get
Yeah.
home, I need to be home, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. I need
Mhm.
to be available to my family, to be present. Many times, especially when my girls were younger, when I got home, they wanted to run to me and give me a hug and tell me all about their day and what star they got. But I'm on the phone with a friend from
Yeah.
Mississippi or Arkansas or Kazakhstan. And
Right.
they look at me like, I thought you're home. So what helped me was a rebuke where they'd
Yeah.
pretty much said, hey, when you're here, you need to be here. What helps me now is keeping that in mind, but also
Mhm.
I've got a 15 to 18-minute commute. So I have some time to decompress when I leave the office.
Nice.
And that commute really does help. I just clear my head, clear my mind, try to keep off the phone. And so when I'm pulling in the driveway, I've had time to just release some of the pressures and realize that I'm about to go to a sanctuary. It's been hectic and frenetic and hitting
Right.
deadlines at work, but I'm about to walk into a sanctuary with 3 people who love me more than anyone else loves me on this planet.
Yeah.
The least I can do is be the best dad and husband I can be and be available, be present, and try, even if I'm tired, try to bring that energy level that they need and they deserve. Andrea tells me about her dad and how awesome her dad was growing up. She said he would come home from work and she knew he was absolutely wiped out and
Mhm.
exhausted, and yet he would wrestle with her as soon as she saw him. She would run to him, and just they would wrestle for a long time. And she
Yeah.
looks back on those days now, and says, you know what, I realize he had to be wiped out, but he took the time. And that, to this day, when she speaks of her dad,
Yeah.
those are some of the most fond memories she has of him, are the times he took with her, even when he was tired.